some time before you go sign in, that'd be great. All right, it looks like we have a few people straggling in, but we're going to get the meeting started here at 6:01. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we could all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where is someone? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who to take roll call.
I think Johnny's gonna do it.
Yeah? Okay. Whew. Small panic.
Yeah.
Johnny, can we
Okay.
please take a roll call?
Chair Erickson,
Here.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Here?
Commissioner Tippett is excused, Commissioner Snow,
Here.
Commissioner Lidkey,
Here.
Commissioner Edwards,
Here.
and Commissioner Kasparian.
Here.
Thank you. All right, did we all get a chance to let's do one of these one at a time, to review and look at the minutes of May 22nd. That was our workshop meeting.
Yes.
Everyone had a good look?
Yeah, I had a look. I didn't see anything that needed to be changed or corrected.
Okay.
Looked good to me.
That's good.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 22nd, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, on to the minutes from June 12th, the 2024 meeting. Have a chance to look at it?
Yep.
Looked all right.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for June 12th, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll get on to the public hearing portion. We do have more people here than we typically do, which is awesome. I love community engagement. So thank you all for coming and signing in. So the way this works, just to give you a recipe for how the night kind of goes, I'll do an introduction of what the project is. We'll have one of the staff members who's worked with the applicant present the project, and then we'll allow the applicant to speak. At that point, we'll have any questions with the commissioners, and then we'll open it up for public comment. We have received some comments on some of the things we're looking at tonight, so those will be entered into the record, and then there will be an opportunity for you to come forward, say your name, and let us hear what you have to say. If we see that it's going to take all night to get through everyone, we might put a timer on that to 3 minutes, just fair warning. But also, if you've heard someone speak to what you also feel, that's okay if you let them champion that on their own. But if you really feel strongly that you need to say something, we might just put a 3-minute limit on it so we can hear as many as we need to. So after the public hearing is open, we'll get a motion to close it. The Planning and Zoning Commissioners will discuss some more, and then we'll get to that decision when we get to it for each of the items on the list. So it feels like some of you, this may be your first time here, so I wanted to explain kind of how it works and where your voices can be heard. All right, first up, wow, I'm getting old. We have Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District requests approval of a conditional use permit for a well pump house located at 987 East, 7800 South in the single family residential 1 SF1 zone. Johnny's presenting.
Thanks, Chair Erickson. So as you mentioned, this is a conditional use permit. It's for a well pump house over here just off of 7800 South and 1000 East. There is an existing well house directly east, as you can see here. So the proposal is to put another one just next to it.
So they're going to keep the current one?
As far as I know, and I know the applicant is here, so you can ask
Okay.
him those questions as well. So staff has reviewed this, site plan, for landscaping, all that other stuff. We don't see there's no issues, it meets the code. We recommend that this is approved. For this project, I have not received any public comments. But if you have any questions for me, be happy to help you. If not, I can give it over to Kevin.
None at this time.
Okay.
And if the applicant is here, please state your name. Let us hear about the project, please.
Yeah, hello, I'm Kevin Rabot with Jordan Valley Water. And yes, the existing well house is to remain. And that one will be primarily used for storage and recovery, whereas a new well will be a production well. And water will be provided to serve Midvale, parts of Murray City, parts of Mill Creek, and parts of South Salt Lake primarily.
Okay.
Do you have any other specific questions for this project, or?
I don't,
Nope. I like the design of the building. It's not an ugly box.
Yeah, our more recent designs, we try to make
Yeah.
them look a little more appealing,
Yeah,
and less like a utility structure.
yeah.
yes,
So I appreciate that.
No,
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Any comments? Yeah. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open public hearing.
Oh, do we need a motion?
You
No.
don't need a
You
motion.
just-
Okay, it's open. If anyone has any comments. Got all excited for later. Okay, now a motion.
I make a motion to close public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, yeah, work was.
Apologize.
Oh, yeah.
I was wanting to make public comments, but didn't get my hand up quickly enough.
Oh,
We
I make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
all in favor?
Aye.
Come on up, sir.
Thank you. I apologize for being slow. Sure, good to see you.
Oh.
Whoa. My name's Evan Hansen. I live about a house away from where this facility is to be built. I spent a career in utility infrastructure, and I understand where this is going. And I recognize the need for it, but I do have one concern, and that is sound mitigation. The current facility often is very noisy. And I would like to make sure that there is sound mitigation in place for this new one, because this will be very close to two homes backing right up to that property. And it's not really fair to exceed what noise recommendations are. I don't know what the sound level, decibel level is in Utah. I know in a lot of states where I worked, it was 55 decibels at the property line. Can anyone inform me as to what it really is here? But I would like to make sure that the Planning Commission imposes that restriction on this facility. I know the need for the water. I like to drink too. And water is a very, very good commodity. And we've had 2 good winters, but that's not an indication that this coming winter is going to be the same. I don't know for sure how close this pump house is to the property line. I would appreciate a little more details. I've not seen a map that has that kind of description on it. Do you know what it is?
Can we go back 2 screens?
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, it's
Oh, sorry, you already got it.
1785,
Is-
2555.
Yeah, right.
Right, I appreciate it, but
55.
25 feet?
Yeah, 25 feet.
That's awful close. Our homes are about 15 feet from the property line. So that means it's a whole 40 feet from a pump house to a bedroom.
Right, and the build level for what is allowed in this is actually 15, so they're beyond
I'm not arguing that. I'm not saying that. My point is, if it's only 40 feet or 30 feet as it could be, that's awful close to a bedroom window. And so therefore, that supports my argument of we got to make sure that there's good sound mitigation installed with that facility.
Maybe we could have the applicant talk to that, the noise level that this facility produces, and what type of mitigation measures they have.
I appreciate that.
Is there, before he comes up, is there any other public comments so that we can have the, okay, please come forward, state your name.
My name's Roger Robinson. I live at 7780 South, 1000 East. I just got a little card here that says, I had my patients tested. I'm negative. I made two big mistakes in my life. One mistake was building my house on 10th East. The second mistake was I knew that there was a pump house behind my house, but what a mess it is. If you want bad neighbors, just have the water district move by you. When they was planning on this, after they spent about 3-4 months of pounding that big well housing down in the ground, 24 hours a day. They were going to build this, somewhat this building, and I'm with Evan. How noisy is it going to be? Because it's supposed to be a state-of-the-art building, as I understand from the district. The one that's behind my house, at the first about 12 years that I lived there, wasn't too bad. The workers were terrible. They would come to the side, drive down my alley, which now I've sold to them, which was possibly a mistake too. But they would leave their trucks running right beside of my house, 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, with their radios a-blaring as they worked in that pump house. I had to get a lawyer to, because you could hear that pump. Well, they built a little pump house that has a big up ground, because the bigger pump house that's there right now has a down in the ground well pump. You could very seldom hear that one. But when they built that little house with a big above ground pump, you could hear that hum 24 hours a day, even out to the street. But when I got the lawyer, we found out that it was in compliance with the noise level, but you couldn't stand it. So I've made a few mistakes in my life, and to deal with a lot of the district, when they come down that alley, spray my bushes with weed killer, they don't care about their neighbors. And they take these big backpack blowers. Yes, they're cleaning their property, but you've got to go out in your yard and clean up what they threw over into your yard. They don't care about the neighbors. So I'm glad it's back in the back of that property, but I hate to have those that live and is going to live pretty dang close to it. And before they was going to, and I don't know whether that's on the map, I can't really see the deal there, but they were going to have a power box back in there on the ground level, a transformer to run that building. And if it's like some of the transformers you hear a buzz and hum. I poor pity these good neighbors I've got that is going to have to deal with it. Yes, they need water, but for the people around it, they have to go through a miserable life. So that's my deal on this. I hope it works fine. And if it was up to me, I wish they'd get rid of that little pump house, so if it ever has to be fired up, then I won't have to listen to it. And so, thank you for listening to me. I'll still be negative,
Thank you.
so.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Did you want to add to that?
So with the construction of the new pump house, it will be, there's sound attenuation taken into the design, so it's a double walled. So you have the exterior brick, then you have
Sorry,
the,
could you speak into that?
Sorry.
Yes, okay, yeah, thank you.
yeah, so with the new construction of the well house, so there's sound considered with the design. So it's a double walled construction where you have the exterior brick, then an air gap, and then drywall with insulation behind that. So the new building will be relatively quiet, especially compared to the old existing well. And then with the existing well, it was originally a submersible pump, but then 20 plus years ago, we converted to a where the motor sits on top instead of submersible. And then initially, I believe that it didn't have a house around it. So then after hearing from the neighbors and their concerns, we constructed basically like a small shed around it to help attenuate some of the sound. But that existing well will be seldomly used in the future. It'll be primarily just used for aquifer storage. So any noise associated with that existing one should be frequent, if seldomly frequent.
And one of the things that I hope you'll take back to your company is just the consideration of the neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if they're going in there in the middle of the night and stuff. That it's the middle of the night,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd encourage the neighbors just to call the police if it's too noisy, because there is a sound. You know, things need to be quiet at a reasonable time. So.
No, correct. Of years past, I was aware of some issues that we've had, but since then we have talked to staff and we've posted signs at the gate say turn off radio, quiet zone.
Oh, good.
And so we pull into our property and then try not to leave the vehicles running next to the adjacent property
Yeah.
owner. So I know we've had issues in the past, but we've been working with our staff to be better neighbors
Great.
of recent years.
Thank you.
Do you know how the new one compares to the old pump, sound-wise?
For sound-wise, you'll have to, at a similar construction we have in Sandy and other parts of the valley, you have to put your ear up to the door almost to hear it, so, yeah. So it's, you could talk over it right next to the side of the building and you wouldn't have to raise your voice to have a conversation outside the building, so it's fairly quiet.
So you're gonna theoretically decommission the old one and just use it as backup or occasional. What would that be used?
Storage, right? Storage,
Yeah,
isn't that
so
what you said?
Yeah.
periodically, depending on the snowpack and the runoff, there's
yeah.
excess surface water, so we can treat that surface water.
Nice.
And then we can help recharge the aquifer. So we'll use that existing well as a recharge point. But part of that is after you're done recharging, you need to cycle the well to basically just to kind of just purge it, to give it a rinse after you put the water back in, so we'll run it for a day or something after a period of recharge, and then we'll be off until the next season of abundant water that we have, so.
So you're talking about every year, possibly.
Yeah, once a year would probably be as most frequent for that one.
So it sounds like this could be an improvement in the neighborhood.
Correct.
And you've built these before, it sounds like. It's a newer
This-
design.
Yeah, the similar construction, yeah, we have
Yeah.
several in Sandy City and some in Murray, and
Okay. Anyone else?
Building the doors on.
Sorry, wish I had a pointer or something. So you can see,
It's next to you.
Yeah.
Can you stand-
Notice the red one.
you can see where it says new pump house. So if you look just directly to the right, that'll be the primary entrance for the building. And so then on the north side of the building, north being up, there's no entrances. And on the west side of the building, there's no entrances. And then to the south, there's gonna be fluoride and chlorine rooms. So there'll be doors for those rooms, but those rooms are separated from the pump room by a block wall. And then everything within the pump room, we have the double wall insulation to mitigate the sound.
Would you envision, pardon me for speaking back here, but do you envision sufficient air conditioning and such that during the summer when that's running, you don't need to open the doors?
Yeah, it'll have refrigerant cooled, so
So it
it'll
won't
be,
Can we have you,
Yeah,
can
can you
we,
talk
we
into the
can't
mic?
hear anything that you're
Sorry.
saying.
We
and
need to put
get
it
our
on public record.
Yeah, we need our meeting minutes to match, so
share
if you
the
could,
podium.
If I could join him here for just a second.
Yeah.
The concern I have is that the building has sufficient cooling capacity that during the summer, like it's been the last few weeks where it's been very hot, you don't have to open the doors and things to keep it cool enough to be operative. Because that, you know,
I may jump in here and just say, I think we're getting a bit into the weeds for what's in front of us. This is a conditional use permit. So I do want to kind of circle us back, because we could definitely go into all the design drawings, and I think the applicant has done that quite well.
it sounds like he has, but it's all back to this sound business. If they have to open this up in the middle of the night to keep the thing running, all the mitigation efforts are gone.
yeah. It is a conditioned space, so it's designed to operate with the doors closed.
Okay, thank you.
And I can't speak for the applicant, but I'm sure there could be some contact with you. I mean, if you have concerns that go outside of this conditional use permit.
Yeah. Yeah, I can give you my contact information. You could follow up later.
Okay, I just kind of volunteered you for that, so.
No, that's a great point.
All right, were there any other comments or things for the public? Okay,
Seeing that there's no additional public comments, I make another motion to close the public comments.
all in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. So, thoughts? No?
I hear the concerns, and that would be irritating, but it just seems to me that this is going to be a benefit for everyone in that neighborhood, that it sounds like there's going to be very minimal sound, and then an occasional startup for a day or two on the other pump when you have to circulate things, and I think that's a plus, and so. And I appreciate your willingness to address the other concerns of being a good neighbor.
Can entertain a motion?
I move that we approve the conditional use permit for a well pump house to be located at 987 East, 7800 South, with the finding noted in the staff report.
Can we get a roll call vote?
We need a second.
We need a second.
I second the motion.
Okay. Chair Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lidkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Stone,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kasparian.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Yeah, next time. Okay. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Eric Winters requests large-scale master plan approval for Jordan Bluffs Phase 3, located at 8090 South Sakini Drive in the Jordan Bluffs 4 JB4 zone. Elizabeth is presenting.
Thank you. Okay, so this might look familiar to you because we have already approved a large-scale master plan for this area, but the applicant did change the proposal enough to bring it back for you to see again. So you should be familiar, just right off Sagini. Phases 1 and 2 have already been built out just north and east of it. So I've included some exhibits that were also sent in the packet. This is their site plan. It should be less buildings with more units per building, but still well within their density. We've included landscape plan. Everything seems to be in line with our large-scale master plan procedures. Very quick plan showing some potential amenities, and then just a motion. I haven't received any public comment on the item, and the applicant is here as well, if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
If the applicant's here, yeah, if you have something to say.
We'll try not to bite off your other hand.
Yeah, I was going to say I am patriotic, but my hand is here because my finger is throbbing. So I'm not Eric Winters, but I am Adam Langford with Wasatch Residential Group, 620 South State Street, Salt Lake City. Boy, it has been a long time. We started on this in 2017, and with the original large scale, we had this building type, and then over the years we've looked at different ones. We did come in with a different product, but we're back to this one. We love it. It's a great product, a lot of in and out and good architecture. But yeah, what we're doing tonight is large scale. We do meet the ordinance. I think we're over on open space, a little bit over on some of our other amenities.
Are you over on parking?
I think we're right on with what the ordinance requires, but we do have garages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
there is additional parking there.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
okay.
So happy to answer any questions. That's really all I have.
Thank you. Any comments from us yet? Hmm? No. Okay, let's open this up for public hearing. If anyone has a comment. I do have a question. Yeah, we need to get it on the.
You'd state your name.
Could you tell me exactly where this is? 8090 South Sagini Drive. Where's Sagini Drive?
Yep.
We have a map.
So you can see, let's see, Main Street is just right in,
Okay,
in the
I see
center,
that,
and
yeah.
it's just west of it.
So it's west of Main Street?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
West of Main and below Wasatch.
Okay, and is it being rezoned for that?
No,
It is not, so
No.
it's already zoned?
Yes.
And what are you putting on it?
they're putting apartments?
Yeah, they're stacked flat.
Yeah.
Stack flat apartments. Okay, so they're how many stories?
I think you can scroll the elevations on.
Yeah.
I don't think I included any elevations.
Oh, there's
in
one
the-
for a different project.
Sorry, I did in the packet, not in the presentation,
Oh.
but yeah, they're
It's
3 stories.
3 stories, okay.
Thank you.
The density in that area, I think, has become quite strong at this point. I live in Midvale, I've only been here 9 years and have seen a lot. My biggest concern at this point is, first of all, the entrance and the exit to get in and out of the apartment complex. And secondly, where's the parking going to be? How much parking will they be able to accommodate? And will people still be parking on the street? Because that's been a problem with a lot of complexes that have gone up in Midvale. So can someone answer those questions?
Can we have you state your name?
My
And then
name
when
is
we're-
my name's Sally Smith, excuse me.
You're fine. And we'll finish up this public hearing portion, and then we'll circle back
Okay,
on those
perfect.
questions, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Well, I think as far as the parking, he meets the zoning requirements, and so that he meets the parking requirements, and that's all we can enforce on him. The one thing that I like is that you have additional parking with the garages.
Yeah, I don't know that it's additional parking, but it's
Oh.
included in our
Okay.
overall count.
Okay.
The density, we're actually less than what we could do, and that density was set in 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're actually under what we could do. So we're not trying to jam in as many units as we can, and we do meet the parking standard, yes.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to note, is that this is all, like, he already has this, and this is just an
Yeah.
amendment to something existing.
That's absolutely.
Yeah, parking on Sagini, I believe that's a public road, and so that,
You can't
yeah.
control.
You do not charge for parking, though,
We,
except for maybe the garages?
yes, the garages we do.
There's an upgrade on that?
Everything is shifting to bundles, right? Whether it's your internet at home or your cell phone. So we do kind of a similar thing with cable packages and different packages you can get. So the garage is part of that. But no, you don't have to pay extra to be able to park
That's been some
on
of the
site.
problems, is that they charge you to park in their parking terrace
Okay.
on some of these apartments, and so they don't want to pay for that extra, so they park on the street, and so then it becomes problematic. So they have an empty parking lot,
And everybody's
but
out
yet
on the streets.
everybody's parking on the
Okay.
street to save money, and so we've created an ordinance that you can no longer charge for parking.
Okay.
That if you have parking, it's for your
Yeah.
peeps.
Well, one nice thing about Wasatch is we are the property management company. So you can talk directly. If it does become a problem with our tenants parking on public streets, I don't know how you'd regulate that, but we're always open to ideas and new ways of doing things, especially where we're the property management company.
All right. Thank you.
I like the looks of it and the landscape design and stuff. It's a lot nicer than
What's there currently?
what.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what's there
Gorgeous
currently,
in a
but yet
Then a field?
the little,
crazy?
what was it? What did we call it? The little Sarajevo or something like that was so prison looking. But this is a nice, appealing project, I think.
Thank you for taking the time to massage it and bring it back, and staying within everything agreed upon. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't have the screen anymore.
Are we done with the,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
let's do an attorney.
Aaron, did you have anything to say on this one?
So this is approval of the large-scale master plan. It's processed as a conditional use, and so it's an administrative decision. If you feel like they qualify, then you need to approve.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
I move that we recommend approval of a large-scale master plan for Jordan Bluffs Phase 3 located at 8090 South Sagini Drive with the finding included in the staff report.
Second?
Roll call vote, please.
Chair Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lidkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kasparian.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Mr. Langford, if you need to work with staff anymore, please do so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, next item on the list. John Simnani requests rezone approval for lots located at 55 West, 7500 South, and 7444 South State Street from Single Family Residential 1 SF1 and State Street Commercial SSC to multifamily residential medium to high density RM25 zone. Information regarding the proposed regulations for prohibitions and permitted uses that the property will be subject to if the rezone is adopted can be found in Midvale City Code 17-7-4. Elizabeth is presenting.
Great, thank you. So you'll see on a screen a map for the proposed rezone area. There has been a little bit of confusion about the size because multiple of the parcels have the same address, but it is a total of 4 parcels. It's going to be about 1.6 some odd acres for the area. So you do see that part of the property is in our State Street commercial zone. Part of it is currently zoned for single family residential and duplex overlay. And they are requesting that that be changed to RM25, which is the dark red you'll see just south of part of the property and just barely off the screen up north. So for rezone criteria, our code does outline 3 criteria that are possible. An applicant does need to demonstrate that they meet one of them. The applicant did include quite a thorough proposal for why they were requesting the rezone, and that was included in your packet. Staff does find that they can meet goal number 1 and goal number 3, which deal with, you know, it coming into compliance, being in line with the general plan. And then also that, you know, we could encourage some redevelopment of the area. Additionally, the general plan calls out this area of State Street as the State Street Opportunity Area and does have one of the goals that encourages mixed use or higher density residential uses. So we did find that the project could help support that goal of the general plan. I have included a motion here. I'll probably leave the map up maybe while we're doing public comment. I did receive some objections to the project that were written in. I did send those to you. So we had 3. I think some quick highlights were concerns about the density, concerns about mountain views and view shed, and then traffic flow. But I'm sure we'll hear some more about that. Do you have any questions for me? Okay.
And they haven't submitted any proposal for what they want to build?
They did submit a concept plan, and I included that in your packet. I didn't include it on a slide tonight with rezones. We are just looking at the property, and the concept plan is a nice to have, but that can definitely change. Yeah. And we have not reviewed that for setbacks, height, anything like that. So, yeah.
But if that were to come up like at a future planning and zoning or future, if this rezone goes through, that's all gonna have to meet all those standards that are part of that.
Yeah. It would have to meet all of our regular RM25 standards, unless for some reason they had a development agreement that maybe had stricter provisions.
Now, I didn't look at the code, but what are the setbacks and stuff in the new zone? If this was rezoned, what are the setbacks to the neighboring properties, the residential properties? Because I know some areas in the TOD, there's kind of a step back, you know, it can't be higher than this at this feet, and then it can go higher and higher and higher.
Yes. So they do have different setbacks depending on what the proposal is, you know, for single family versus multifamily development. I want to say, and I'm just looking off the top here, so I might get that wrong, but I want to say front setback is about 25 feet, side setbacks 10 feet, and rear setbacks 20 feet.
Okay.
So, but I don't think that this, and my other staff members can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that there are any step backs built in like we've seen with other zones.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Can I hear the applicants here, if you want to say anything?
Yes, yeah, Matt's gonna pull that for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate everybody taking the time to review my proposal here.
And you are John Simnani?
Yes, I'm John Simnani. I'm with Signature Homes. And thank you, Elizabeth, for all your help. Elizabeth's been super helpful in answering any questions I've had, and very knowledgeable staff. So the proposal here is to go, well, I don't need to cover that again. I think Elizabeth covered most of it. I can jump to a couple of the slides if that's all right. So just property current condition and description, again, 4 parcels, 1.6 acres. The majority of the property is the SF1 single family zone. That front smaller piece that hosts a commercial massage spa right now is an SSC zone, and that is fronting State Street. It is a challenging piece being the width that it is and being in between structures that are pretty new, I'd say 90s and later. It doesn't, there's no indication that those are gonna go anywhere, so we're trying to make do with what the width we have is. Anyway, the property right now hosts those 2 structures, that commercial piece, and then there's a single family behind it that's, I don't know what the activity of it is currently, but lastly, for property description and condition, this property it was the scene of a crime in early January, and I think there is a need to kind of move things along and try to get a lot of that stuff behind. So we're trying to push this thing as quick as we can. Again, the rezone to realign meets with 1 and 3, as Elizabeth already stated. I don't think I need to dwell on that anymore. The following slides kind of support that. The first thing that we look at when we receive a property is neighborhood consistency. And so when we receive a property either from a broker or we find one, we'll look at the zoning map, and this is what we saw. I invite anybody to just, first thing you do, take a look at it, and it's pretty obvious that it's inconsistent with a lot of the zones that are on State Street. These are just some of the properties that share some space with our subject property here. Remington Apartments, RM25 to the north, Madison Court, RM25 to the south, and then there's some like I stated, the property to the north is a commercial space hosted. It's a beautiful building. I mean, the owners of the building have kept it in really good shape, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Same with Charles Liu. I don't think it's as new of a building. I think it's still a 1930s building, but he's kept it very clean and nice. And then across the street, we've got a SSC, University of Utah Greenwood Health Center. So as far as neighborhood consistency goes, I think the rezone would be consistent with what we've got going. Let's see. Lastly is the opportunity areas. So when we saw those in the general plan, we paid special attention to the goals of those opportunity areas. That states that states some specific areas in which there are some inefficiencies in the traffic. We've seen, they've only identified on State Street from 8000 South going south, so 8000 South going to Sandy. I've spent a good amount of time at the site and around the area, and it seems like a pretty efficient portion of State Street. As we all know, it's central to Salt Lake County, so it's a high traffic corridor, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's a relatively efficient section of State Street. The next point, the project is in an opportunity area anticipated to be used as higher density. In page 46 of the general plan, it states minor to major challenges or changes in current land uses are likely to occur. We view this as a relatively smooth transition from kind of a higher density and higher traffic area on State Street to a single family area. I think the RM25 zone, the theoretical density is relatively high, but then when you get into the nitty-gritty of the restrictions of the zoning and setbacks and all that, I think the actual density is a pretty favorable neighborhood-friendly number. And then lastly, the middle State Street opportunity area goal compliance. So as we were reading through the master plan, we saw that each one of these areas in the opportunity area map had its own set of projects intent. Number one is support development of higher value commercial and business uses through the development of mixed use and higher density residential uses. Myself and some of the people that I work with, we've seen a lot of great commercial here in Midvale coming, and that's already here. And to support that, I think this goal number one and this zone change would support that through some well-needed residents in Midvale. And then number five, support redevelopment of underutilized commercial properties between the commercial nodes into mixed-use residential development. Being the width that it is, it's a challenging property, but the high density, the medium to high density rezone that we're requesting, I think is fitting by redeveloping commercial property that already exists on this property in between two existing newer commercial property. So the commercial property that's sitting on the property currently, on the subject property currently, the structure is a 1930 structure, I believe, and I don't think it's financially viable to keep throwing money at it. the current owner's done a great job of maintaining the property, but at some point, there needs to be a shift. And yeah, that's all I've got. I appreciate everyone's time, and again, thank you to the staff. Very helpful, so thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
I've got one more thing, if I may, just to Commissioner Lidkey's point. So there isn't anything about the setbacks being stepped back based on, but there is for the height. So for regular structures, they're allowed, let's see, now I can't find I think they're allowed up from 1 to 4 stories, but if they're within 50 feet of a single family, then their maximum height is 35 feet if it's a pitched roof and 30 feet if it's a flat roof. So nothing setback wise, but some concessions height wise.
There's height-wise.
So,
Well, it sounds like a pretty creative property that you're pretty limited in, and so you're not going to be able to put a 5-story podium parking in there, more of a townhome type product.
How tall is the max?
35.
35?
Within 10
With the
feet.
pitch.
So like on average, a single-family home is like 26 feet midspan. So
yeah,
that's quite a bit
this
taller.
zone limits by stories. So 4 stories would be the maximum unless you're within that single-family zone, and then they would restrict that to 35 or 30 feet.
And right now, this is a single-family zone, is that correct?
Ish.
Yes,
Ish.
part of the property.
Part
Yeah.
of it. I
Yeah.
understand that part.
To get back to the comparison to single-family homes, in the adjacent zone, a single-family home can be 28 feet tall. I doubt that most of the homes are
close
that
to that,
height right now, but that's the theoretical maximum. And if it's a flat roof, then it's 25. So you're looking roughly at a 7-8 foot difference.
But the difference is 14 units compared to like 40-something units.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, dealing in maximums and.
A wall of
Yeah.
30 feet.
Right. Before we go on to the public hearing portion, I wanted to involve legal with Aaron, because this is a little bit different than the other public hearings and the other things before us. So if you could fill us in, please.
Yes, so this is a rezone, which is a legislative decision, which means that you will refer a recommendation to the city council to either adopt the new zone or not. You could also recommend that they adopt it with certain conditions if you find that that's important. But ultimately, this is a fairly, this is a decision where you can exercise your discretion and again, as a legislative decision, really make your voices heard by choosing which way you want to go on it.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we're gonna open the.
Wait.
What?
No, okay. It's all right. Go ahead.
Okay. Squirrel. We're gonna open the public hearing portion, so if you have anything to say about this, if you could state your name. The first one's the hardest.
Maureen Butler. First of all, I have some petitions that I'd like to present to the council or the commission, and I don't know where to present these to. Can you give me some directions?
Yeah, the chairman.
Yeah, me.
Okay.
We're all wondering.
We all look confused.
Do you want your folder back? Okay. Thank you.
And Ms. Butler, if you could just describe what those are, just so that it's clear for the record.
They're a petition against the rezone, and it's in 4 different areas. I mean, Madison Court, we have Maple and Drainey Lane, we have 7500 South, and then we have down beyond. So we have a good combination of everybody, not just surrounding that area, but further down also. So that's where they all come from. Okay, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for letting me present those. We kind of got rained on, so they're kind of like wrinkled. We went out in the rain and decided to get them that way. As we as a community and as I was going online, I have contacted Elizabeth because they've been very good about keeping people informed about things. And I know when I asked her, there had been no concept plans given. So I went on the line and I found Mr. Simnani's rezone narrative. And I was kind of disappointed at the fact that they called it a rundown home. We have a family that's been living there since forever and forever. And that home inside is beautiful. It's wonderful, and they've taken care of it. They can't do anything about what the landlord does. So that was kind of sad. And I know that they talked about the homes, that the reason that the homes are only like $100,000 to $300,000 in Midvale. My home in the same area is running a whole lot more than that, and just down the street they're going for like $600,000. And I'm just going, this is like kind of interesting. And then on the same, as I was perusing, I found another site from homes.com, and Mr. Andrew Ho states, which was kind of disconcerting, considering that it says that the Planning Commission will consider these items. And he states in this, the city will rezone, it's currently developed SF1. City will rezone RMF with certain stipulations. It was almost, as he's putting this out, that it's a done deal. And for us as the citizens, it's like, why would you invite us to come to a public meeting to consider this rezone and then just state it out, have somebody state it out? It's going for $1.5 million if somebody wants to buy it right now. And then they both have concept plans. One's for like 23 townhomes all along the north side of it. The other one is his 30, and they are up and down in different spots. And we talk about the development. I know that the Midvale plan talks about the existing community. The existing community where it's buffering on the west side. Those are all custom homes in that neighborhood. And so it's kind of like, I'm not quite sure. So I would like you just to not pass that rezone, have them reconsider it. And I was very impressed with the developer in the Jordan Bluffs area, saying that he had taken things down a little bit and made certain plans. And I was grateful that you asked about the parking, because MODA is a pain in the neck, and I get to play with that sometimes.
And that's what I was referencing.
And Birch Street is a wonderful, exciting place to go. Please go down there once in a while. It's a joy, and you get to play dodge, what is it called? Bumper cards, and it's not much fun. So this is the area that we're looking at. I understand that development can be done. This is a duplex overlay, and I know that duplexes probably aren't the big things in the world, but to be consistent with those that are around the surrounding area. We have some issues with the part that comes down onto what they say is 58 West. We've never had a 58 West identified until just now on this public hearing. And it's a right-of-way for someone that lives behind someone on 75. So that right-of-way is going to be landscaped according to one of these concepts so that he can never get into his property. So we're just asking that, just because of the inconsistency of the considering, and yet that's what they're saying on this website, that the city will take care of it for you. That's the impression that I got when I read it, and that was kind of like, I don't think that's what you as a commission or as planners want to put out, that the city will take care of you no matter what, the residents or whatever will be around. So those are the concerns that I know of the people that I've been talking to, those on my road, those, and I live on 7500 South. It will be affected. It already is affected. And we had the coolest high-speed chase tonight. 2 cars went zipping around, people that were going down west, and then came the police. I don't know where they ended up. I hope nobody got killed. But we have people that, I was so grateful I wasn't pulling out of the road because they were going like 90 per. So anyway, those are just some of the concerns that we have in our community, and I appreciate you letting us address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
She already touched base. My name's Dan Peters, and she's.
Here, let's say it into the, can you say it into the microphone, please?
Oh, I hate microphone.
I know.
I'm actually a performer, and I still hate them. My name is Dan Peters, and she had made a remark into this easement that drops down on the west side of this property. That's my easement. If they block that off, I'm landlocked, and that's a big no-no. We can't do that. We can't allow that. I mean, I have warranty deed says you can't do that, but you know, it's a big concern if somebody doesn't pay attention here. It guarantees me 28 feet wide and 250 feet long. I'm in the middle here. Yeah, can we get that back? Yeah. Thank you very much. I would appreciate that. And I'm opposed to having people build up and around me. Obviously, nobody wants like hundreds of people in their backyard. I get that. Can we go back just a little? Well, no, we can see that in the green area. You see that green area going south on the very last leg? If that's gone, I'm the guy that lives in parcel number 2 off of 7500. I can't get there. That's the only way I can get home. And so I obviously think the city should kind of regroup there a little bit for me if at all possible. But I really would like you to reconsider what we're really going to do with this property. You know, I realize as time goes on, something really has to be done with the property. It really can't just sit there stagnant. We have too much population in this city. And it's good economically in some ways for Midvale, obviously. But
do you have an easement on that property to get to your home?
Yes, sir.
You do have an easement?
Yeah. You see on that long green stripe there, it's only this wide? That's the easement.
Oh, you would still have your easement there.
Well, they're saying in their proposal, their overlay, they're showing, may I?
Sure.
They're showing, this is the last survey that I did back in 2017, and I made some property adjustments, but you see this easement here goes over. This is my property here.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the end of this.
If you'd go back to the microphone so we get it all on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can look at that. I'm not good at these protocols, so.
The flag lot-ish.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, and the developer is aware of that.
Oh,
We
yeah,
have
I've
talked
got
that there
that
is
here,
an
too.
easement
That's
there.
parcel
I'm
one,
not
that's
sure
you.
that it's the entirety
I'll
of
bring
that
that
width.
up
I know
because I show
it's a
parcel one
portion
and
of it,
parcel
and that definitely wouldn't be included as
So-
part of their plans or any of their
Now, the-
calculations. So that would be preserved, definitely.
It would be preserved,
Yes.
yeah, because it doesn't show it in their overlay. They're talking landscaping and turf and all of that, and I'm thinking, okay, do I get to drive on the grass? Because I got to get in and out. I mean, that's
They would have
obvious.
to give you vehicular access by
Yes,
law.
yeah.
Because that's what your
And it
easement
does show, you know, in the
has.
quitclaim deeds and warranty deeds, it does show that that has to be maintained, and it does do a description of it, and it looks just like that. But obviously, you'd starve me to death. I wouldn't be able to get out and get groceries. And that's my concern. Outside of course, I want you to really reconsider the impact of high density in this area. I mean, I've lived here for 25 years. And, you know, I'm the guy that's maintained that easement all by myself for 25 years, sweat, blood, and economics. I mean, I've paid for it all. And so I really want a good conscience in this, you know, and like I said, I understand the land has to be developed sooner or later, but I really want us to be cautious on how we do that. And Lorraine made some very good points on this. We've all been here a long time, and we hate to see what we've established as this type of community be disrupted and be destroyed, and it no longer will be valid to us at all. Does that make sense, I hope? Or do you have any questions for me, or should I shut up now?
I wouldn't put it that way.
Not in so many words.
No, I
But
don't
that's-
have any questions
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
so-
is that pretty clear then?
Oh, yeah.
And we're good on that point anyways?
Yeah.
I just do want to state an objection also about what we proceed with here in multifamily dwellings. Okay?
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's already been here.
No.
I'm a part of this in as much that I live in Applewood, and we have had a similar situation 9 years ago. Unfortunately,
So sorry, will you state your name one
Oh,
more
Sally
time?
Smith, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Sally Smith. And part of my concern is I had a lady take me around the property today, and the entrance on 7500 is between two homes, and it's just a little tiny driveway. If you rezone, will it be that those homes will have to be removed to get into the complex? On State Street, it is by the, by the massage parlor, the massage place. And when they leave, they can only go right, they can't go left. So the parking, coming in and out of that area is a concern as far as what they're going to do on 7500 and then also what they're going to do on State Street. So that would be something that would be a consideration. The other part is, if it is single-family dwellings, are they rentals or are they purchased?
We're not considering that in this rezone.
So you're not, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's not a
This is
part
just-
of our review.
Okay, you're not reviewing that. And this, and of course, the third thing is the parking, because of the shape of the land and the easement, where are people going to park? And I keep emphasizing that because of what's going on Main Street and what went on. And now I understand that and I may be wrong, but they're thinking about taking a lane out of 7800 South to make it possible for the people in Station to have parking. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard that. That may be a gossip, I don't know. But those are the things that I'm also, plus it's something that if they do put something in there, that it should be considered for the citizens, not just for the LLCs. I don't know how many LLCs are involved in this, but there's probably quite a few. And those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
It got quiet. My name's John Castle. I'm the first property there. Been here about 25 years as well. My main concern is when the condos went in, because we came in just before the condos went up, they're closer to State Street, the parking just went crazy. So I'm here restating the traffic again. Because Birch Street is an issue. My son backing out of our driveway got hit by somebody turning right there because they're not paying a whole lot of attention and they don't really know to look. So it really is a blind area, and where that easement is, it's not gonna be easy to see when you're leaving either way. So that would be my main concern, is maybe just keeping the traffic down, so not as many properties back there or residences. That's all I got. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment. Looking at the petition, there were 67 signatures on it that were against the
79.
development.
Oh,
So,
we have 79 over here.
oh, 79, okay. So,
Thanks for counting.
Sure.
Well, and we'll need to keep
Oh,
those,
yeah.
or at least a copy of them to
Yeah.
include in the record.
yep.
Absolutely. Yeah?
I'm probably going to restate some of the same thing, but My name's Carl Packer, and I actually live in Madison Court. And I have one question first. I was the first one to purchase a condo there 24 years ago. And my contract paper, whatever, says that is single family, but you're saying it's not now. When was that changed? Or can you tell me? Like,
If you can clarify which part you're referring to single family?
So the red zones you have up there on the screen say that they're not single family. I can't see it. It says they're multiple, right?
Multifamily.
Yeah, and like when I purchased that, it said that it was single family residence. So my question is like, when did that change, right? Because that's a concern.
In your purchase agreement?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably between you and the seller.
Yeah, no, but but it was brand
Oh,
new
okay.
when I purchased it 24 years ago. And now you're saying it's not, so I'm confused by that. But anyways, regardless, the same thing, like the traffic in that area, when we pull out and that road narrows, 7500 South narrows, and you have big trucks and whatever, and then everybody parking on the street, and you're just putting yourself in like God's hands, right? So that really is the consideration, is looking at, and like everybody said, it needs to be developed. It's kind of in the back little corner, there are lots of weeds and whatever, right? Definitely needs some development, but please like consider what you're putting there. My friends who do live over on Grant Street, who you have the big, huge 4-story apartments that were built there several years ago, and you just blocked all the beautiful views, and there should be some consideration for residents there. I hope I'm making sense. Right, so I appreciate that. I really do appreciate your time. And like, this has got to be a pretty bad situation to be in, and listening to everybody, right? So yeah, that's just really, I just want to say that be considerate about what's around there, because it's just getting worse and worse, and trying to drive down those streets. And again, like Mrs. Butler said, it's like just trying to dodge all the cars and make yourself safe. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is an interesting question to bring up. When did that change to multifamily? If it was, do we have an answer, Rendellen?
Well, this is a speculative answer. I don't know in your contract that was actually, worded correctly, and it's obviously it's not a single family home you live in. I mean, it's a condo project, so but that's just speculation.
But building inspectors and such would not have allowed a building type that didn't match the zoning at the time those were built.
And they clearly don't match SF1.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it might be more investigation for yourself. I know there's some good things on the internet that I found for my own house, so.
My guess is that they changed the zoning when they built them.
Probably.
It may have just been carried over. Yeah, but who knows?
Okay.
Do we have any other comments? Things you'll regret if you don't stand up here and say. All right.
I make a motion that we close the public comment of this meeting portion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay.
Did we just sigh really?
Yes, we did sigh really big, because it's good to hear the what it means to people. It's one thing for us to read through the agenda and look at the properties on maps. Despite what many people think, we don't come here with decisions already decided. That's a huge misnomer. We are here to hear y'all. It's what we volunteered to do. So we actually, while it could be stressful, we do enjoy it. So thank you, everyone who spoke up. It's a really important part of the planning and zoning process, and we wish more people would come out like y'all have. So I want to say that. I also think it's quite brave for a developer to tackle this type of project. That is not an easy idea to go into that shape. Whatever the idea is to be multifamily, to go into that shape is a difficult job. That's all I have to say right now.
I just wanted to say, I put the motion on the screen for you. It is just an outline.
Sure.
So you're welcome to play with the verbiage as you'd like. and maybe I just jumped the gun for Aaron here, but written, whatever you find for your motion would be great. So if you could point out in that rezone criteria, and you should have reference to that in your packets, just what you think it either does or does not meet. So.
Thanks, Elizabeth. That does take care of our attorney questioning right there. I'm so confused by this whole thing. The confusing part to me is, great, let's do something with the commercial property. Behind it, it's all single family. Why are we even, it's a no-brainer to me. It's so fluid, it's so loose, we've got an easement that we need to deal with. It's surrounded by single-family dwelling. This is like the strangest.
Well, half, right? Like two sides are surrounded.
Look at the back part as well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking.
West.
Well, they have condos on one side and then
I
they
get
have
that,
businesses
but it's
on the other.
the strangest thing to me. We've got these two homes right here for the easement, and then we're going to put all this in here. Where do they come in? They can only come in a certain direction on state, which doesn't apply. So you can darn well bet they're going to want to use that easement, which is not their property to be using. Correct?
No, they own it. The developer will own that, but they'll have a right to use that for access to
Hey,
their
I'm all for
home.
having State Street look better. I grew up in Midvale, right off of State Street. State Street could look a whole lot better. But behind, to me, would be great for a developer to do single-family dwellings. You could have nice homes there. I think, my personal opinion, this is way too much, and I wish I knew a good word to use.
Can you put the map back up?
Sorry, did you say the map?
The map, yeah, okay. I'm just trying to see how you would put a subdivision back there.
So you come in off the
And have-
right, off a state with a road,
You just go straight back.
and then there would be properties on the up side of the screen, 20.
Those would be pretty small properties. So you'd have to do,
3 units, 20 units,
20
3-story
units?
units.
Sorry, it's not jiving with me at all.
It doesn't have to.
that's all right.
And we can design this property in our heads for a long time, but that's still not gonna
Right.
change what's in front of us.
Right, exactly.
We've been doing this for a while, so we know kind of how homes, twin homes,
Sure.
multifamily homes they fit. So I do say that we are familiar with that, and maybe
Right.
we're skeptical, and that's helping us go,
Uneasy?
uneasy on an easement.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the easement, like, just if you rezone it
Yeah.
without knowing.
Yeah. Definitely support State Street redevelopment, though. I mean, I don't
Absolutely.
think anyone can really disagree with that.
No, not one
Okay.
bit. It's this parcel behind that I'm concerned about because it impacts a lot of people. I lived on this road, actually. And so it impacts a lot of people, and I think we need to look at that.
So if we do not recommend to city council, how do we want to phrase that?
That's my question.
Because
What words are we going to use?
Because in looking at number 1 and number 3.
Right.
So, can I maybe step in here?
Yes.
You only need to make findings if you're going to recommend approval.
Okay.
If you're recommending denial, you don't need to make any findings.
They can look up the video on YouTube and see what we said about it.
Well, my point is that the ordinance requires findings only if you're recommending approval.
Okay. I still would like to talk through it, just so it's not an emotional decision.
For me, it seems to make more sense as State Street commercial than it does the high density. Like, when you look at the zoning map, like, it's
Right.
surrounded by the yellow.
Right.
Yeah.
There's more of one than the other.
Right.
Yeah, it gets confusing when we're combining so many different pieces of
Yes.
property with so many
Exactly.
different current uses.
I mean, the first one, great, just leave it commercial and that's what it should be anyway, right there on State Street.
And debatably, the property behind could be as well, I think. And it would match the subject property to the north.
But you'd have to parcel it is my,
Yeah, maybe.
You could do a mixed use
yeah,
win-win, maybe,
couldn't you?
right?
Yeah, I mean, there are several zoning options. I mean, the
Okay.
applicant, applied what he applied for,
Yeah.
but, I mean, you can, zoning is something that's based on the legislative powers of the city. So there's a lot of, you could say creativity that can be involved, so that it fits what the community in the end would like on something like this. And of course, I mean, especially if you look at the zoning map and zoom out a little bit, it is a very interesting area. You have the State Street zone, you have the single family, then you have the condo project next to single family. I mean, there are all sorts of moving things here.
Yeah.
My concern is I don't want to rush this because we open a can of worms for other things we don't know. I would just as soon kick the can down the road.
My concern is just if we've created these zones of potential for like State Street, but we don't want to act on that. We just want to avoid it. But we want to develop State Street and we want to make it better and stuff, but
Is that zoned already?
we don't want to deal with it.
That's already zoned for commercial.
Right,
The first part.
I think that property is kind of landlocked and
Not really.
stuff,
If
and
you-
so.
No.
If you look at the listing that they have on it, there's a residential road that comes into the west side. If you continued that road and did some single-family homes on that first half of that parcel, and then commercial from there up to State Street,
Be all right.
there would be a,
That way you get away from all the single-family people that it
Don't want
impacts.
3
I mean,
stories.
it does.
Commissioner Ledke makes a good point, though, that, the long-term goal.
Yeah, what's our long-term goal on
so-
that?
so,
And then my concern is yeah, you can go in from the west,
You wouldn't want to go in.
but I don't want you coming down my circle because it's a circle. And
Well,
now it's a
it's
through
not a
street.
circle right now, it looks like a dead end.
Yeah, it's a dead end,
But
but
if you
I
were
don't
gonna
want you
continue
coming
that
through it.
and
And
put
so you've
3
got
single-family
that.
homes there instead of 23, I'm sure they'd be happy to take 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Ramblers are 2 stories, not 3 stories. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. I think
No,
there's other ways to do it. And still get the development up on State with commercial.
I don't understand why we have to go clear back here with commercial. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
But
Well,
the
not
property to the
commercial,
north did.
RM25.
Well, you know what I'm saying, so once I don't know, I just don't want to open up anything that's going to bite us and bite the residents.
I agree.
Go ahead and word that any way you can.
Well, apparently I can just say no,
Okay,
but I would like to hear a motion.
okay.
Oh, shoot.
I can't see it.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
We just move that. Deny approval.
Wow, how?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we recommend approval of the rezone request for lots located at 58 West, 7500 South, and 7444 South State Street from single-family residential 1, SF1, and State Street Commercial, SSC, to multifamily residential medium to high-density RM25, zone consistent with the findings included in the staff report.
Is there a second? So at this point, we can, motion doesn't pass.
Well,
Well, it never was voted on.
yeah, it was never voted on, so if we can't get a second, then we can have someone make an alternate motion.
I move that we deny approval of the rezone request for lots located at 58 West, 7500 South, and 7444 South State Street from single-family residence, SF1, and State Street Commercial to multifamily resident, medium, high-density zone consistent with the findings included in the staff report.
I second it.
We'll leave out the last part about you being consistent with the findings in the staff report.
Okay.
You can just amend that motion. but yeah.
Okay.
And make sure you say recommend denial, because you're not actually denying, you're recommending.
I'm recommending denial of the rezone request for
How's that?
58 West, 7500 South, and 7444 South State.
There you go. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Can we get a roll call vote?
Chair Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lidkey,
No.
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
Commissioner Kasparian.
Yes.
The motion passes.
So definitely,
To recommend denial, sorry.
yeah.
Should
Okay,
clarify that.
got you.
Motion passes.
If you can work with staff and maybe attend city council when this comes up. Okay. Thank you for being here.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make one comment is, one thing I kept hearing about different proposals for this area and stuff. This is the only thing that I've seen last week is this proposal. And so the city hasn't agreed with any developer to redevelop this or rezone this property. That is a fallacy, and that's probably a pipe dream for whatever the builder or developer is. We have not rubber stamped anything, and I know of nothing that has been rubber stamped or that is being encouraged by the city. So that was one concern I had. And then the other thing is sometimes these things there's a lot of emotions and a lot of difference of opinions. And I appreciate your respect and your ability to come and articulate your feelings. And that means the world. I have been in some contentious where people have been cussing and swearing and just attack dogs. And we appreciate your citizenship and your ability to be involved in your community. And I thank you and commend you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being here.
All right, next up on the agenda, we have Midvale City initiated rezone request to change the zoning from clean industrial CI to Main Street Form-Based Code, MSFBC, on the following parcels: 7490 South Holden Street, 7505 South Holden Street, 7576 South Holden Street, 7594 South Holden Street, 7608 South Holden Street, 7620 South Holden Street, 7652 South Holden Street, 7660 South Holden Street, and 7676 South Holden Street. Information regarding the proposed regulations, prohibitions, and permitted uses that the property will be subject to if the rezone is adopted can be found in Midvale City Code 17-7-11. Jonathan is presenting, and I should have practiced that. That was a lot of Holden Streets.
Yes.
You did good.
Thanks.
Very
well done.
Thanks, Chair Erickson. So this is a city proposed rezone. This is for across the street, what is currently clean industrial. So it's, City Hall, if this picture were better, City Hall is right about, if you look at the screen I'm pointing.
Okay.
So City Hall is about right here, so it's directly west, and then essentially almost to Center Street where, the existing apartment complex and townhomes are all. So this proposal it's been, discussed pretty heavily. Midvale adopted a small area plan for the Main Street area in 2018 that, proposes ideas, across not only Main Street, but also Holden as well. So this rezone is to, further develop that idea. Currently, there's not anything that's going to happen with the parcels. This is just for the rezoning. There has been some public comment. I sent you guys a couple of submissions that we had. And me and Vendeline have met with a number of business owners that have businesses within these areas. We've discussed questions with them. I've also talked with the railroad. They called me with some questions, and as well as Savage, who helps run the railroad. So I've had discussions with those. Those are more of questions than anything. But that's the public comment that I have received prior to this. Obviously, to rezone, we have to make findings in writing. We recommend number 3 of our requirements is what it meets. Staff recommends that you recommend approval to the city council for this, but it's open to however you guys want to interpret as this goes. So, any questions for me?
I have one question. Existing businesses continue to operate under the existing zoning, wouldn't be displaced by the change in zoning. We wouldn't make them move.
Correct. Yep. They're grandfathered by.
Grandfathered in.
Yep. Exactly.
But if they sold and a new owner wanted to do something, then they may have issues.
It could open options. Yes.
Yeah.
What about if they wanted to remodel or?
There is, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is in Main Street Form-Based Code for non-conforming uses, there is some, restrictions. There's a restriction to how much can be, like if they want to expand, but as far as like remodels and stuff, that wouldn't be prohibited at all. It's only for expansions, and beyond that, there's some certain regulations that they would have to meet. But as far as them, doing business as they are, this won't affect them. They're grandfathered. They are what they are until they no longer operate or decide to sell. So
What would we prohibit, quote unquote, of remodel or adding on? What can or can't you do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's
expansion?
like, it'd be to an extent like the building footprint, and this is only for non-conforming uses. So if there's uses there that still fall within the use table of Main Street Form-Based, they can expand as much as they're allowed by the zone, as long as they meet the standards. But as for non-conforming, it's mostly for, I believe it's the footprint, and you may have it pulled up, Vendeline.
Yeah, so there's a pretty long section in the form-based code that goes into non-conformance and how to deal with that. It's actually relatively permissive. I mean, there's actually some allowances for, let's say, even expanding non-conformance within a building or onto a parcel. So, I mean, it doesn't mean that a business is just basically 100% frozen in place. I mean,
Giving them some rights.
yeah, renovations can definitely be done. So, as I said, there's quite a long section. As Jonathan said, I mean, we've discussed that a little bit. I mean, if there are specific questions, then, I mean, we would have to sit down with any of the property owners and maybe the city attorney just to make sure that it's all correct, so that there wouldn't be any issues in the future.
Real quick, can we have the doors closed?
Sorry, we're just discussing.
I think we have to have one door open.
I think we have to have one open for fire code.
No, I think
No, it's not fire.
It's for open and public meetings act.
Oh.
Yeah, well.
Sorry, they
and-
lock
And
when
I don't
you
know
shut
that it
it.
necessarily
The
has to
bar.
be physically open, it just needs to be unlocked so people can access it.
We just need to be able to have the public enter, and they lock automatically when you shut them, so.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So out of the existing properties in this rezone, how many would we let be the same property or be the same businesses with the new rezone? Would any of them?
All of them.
them.
Yeah, all of
would
them.
be the same business.
But if they, how am I wording this? If they were new to the area, would we allow any of those businesses in the new zone?
If it was the same type of business.
Well, we're
Yes.
changing the zoning now.
Right, because these are being grandfathered in, so if they were to
Right.
come in after the fact.
Would we still allow brick design to come in after we change the zoning? Would we still let it be a brickyard? Or builder's first source, would we still let them be builder's first source?
And this doesn't go that far north to Builders
I'm
First,
just thinking off the
but
top of my
yeah,
head.
but like, so with non-conforming uses, so they'd obviously be grandfathered if we changed the zone, if the city council approved it. There's typically, if a business stops operating, there's a 1-year mark that if somebody comes in and does the same business, they're allowed to. But if that year lapses, and somebody tries to come in, they could no longer do that. But as long as they're within that, there's no questions asked, they can do that.
So if I bought the property and wanted to continue to build tombstones,
Correct.
I could do that, but if I came in 2 years later and it sat vacant,
Yes.
then I wouldn't be able to if that's not zoned for that area.
If no business had been active, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my question, I just don't know how to word it.
Yeah, yep,
Sorry.
It's very similar to one we saw
Yeah.
a few meetings
Over there
ago.
with the.
Yeah.
It was
the
just
car.
up the road, a little to the north here.
Yeah, we were just buttoning up that part, yeah.
Yes,
Very similar.
I like the idea of this rezoning because then it ties Main Street and that area together so that they're similar. So that if there is redevelopment along there, it'll tie into what we're trying to do with Main Street and not become an industrial line of properties so much.
I like the change, but at the same time, I like that we're still giving the property owners some.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
In my view, it makes the property more valuable to have that.
Well, it is,
Yeah.
'cause if
Additional
you go to
zone.
sell too, you
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
find it more,
You could say, you could
some
stay at brick
variability.
place, or you.
Yeah, you get
That's right.
flexibility.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Is the oh, you're the applicant.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's here.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right.
Public,
Yeah.
public hearing.
Okay, let's open it up for a public hearing. If anyone wants to have a go.
I feel like we're a little more outnumbered.
Yeah,
We didn't bring the heat.
Good call.
No, we're going to avoid the cuss words. I'm Taryn Church, and I bought the property directly across the street from you in 2007. Took out a big home equity mortgage or home equity loan and put down money on that, bought that property and did some renovation. And it is now a furniture and decor store that is pretty popular. We have ladies come up from Las Vegas every year after school starts and in their big Suburban with their trailer and buy from us, and have people from Park City or wherever. And it's a pretty fun place. I've had in my mind an accessory dwelling, just a warehouse that I'd like to put on the property, and I haven't pursued it very far as of yet, but I've been making plans and thinking about it. And it's something that I would like to do because my retail floor is only so big. I'd like to have more inventory on site that we could pull as soon as something's sold. And I think it would increase our sales quite a bit. So this zoning is a little bit scary to me because if I add a new building once it's TCC, a new building has to be 3 to 6 stories tall, and accessory dwellings are not allowed in that new zoning. And so I'm thinking, man, do I need to hurry and go a little faster and get this done before this is changed? Because I do see the value of this over the long term. I see that, it's kind of what's happening. When I first opened the store, I looked across the street and I could see a baseball field, and you could hear a baseball bat cracking in the springtime, and things don't look like that right now. There's a building here and several others that are big, and That seems to be what's going to happen. I still have the energy, I think, to run that furniture store for 5 or 10 years and then probably sell out. But it would be much better for me if I had that accessory building for that short run. And it wouldn't matter to whoever's buying it either way. They're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway. So I think for me personally, it's easy to see that it will easily go to TCC no matter what, even if it stays for me as light industrial for the moment. At any moment that somebody wanted to change it, it's obvious that would happen very quickly. But for me personally, as an owner of that property, if it changed right now, it would change what I had kind of been hoping and planning to do for my business. And I did find it curious that the electrician's property right next to mine is etched out of this when a developer would probably want to buy both. So I thought that was an interesting draw of the line there. On a different note, the railroad has contacted me and asked me if they could put up a chain link fence along the back of my store to try to keep people out of their property back there. And it doesn't make any sense because they're coming through the fence that's behind that. So that's really where they should focus their efforts if they're really going to try to keep people from passing through there. But yeah, over the long run, I don't know how that will wash out with the railroad, unless there was a bridge over there where they could still use it. I don't know. That's an interesting thing because there's a lot of people wanting to go through there. That's a whole different issue. Anyway, I would hope to have some time to put a little warehouse about 2,500 square feet on the north end of my property. That would be my preference, but if it passes, I don't know that could happen.
If it passes, can he build
So
into the building and not just a separate
this
building?
section of the code says detached accessory structures are permitted according to each building type, and then it lists some. So there's probably room that he could evaluate within the
But
code.
the TCC does not say that. It says that accessory buildings are not allowed.
And
Tell us.
let me clarify. So the
Okay.
code itself, the overarching code, is Main Street form-based. And so with being form-based code, there's two form districts. So there's Main Street Main Street Form District, which is, the properties adjacent to Main Street. And then there's Town Center Core, which is, the surrounding properties, which is what this would become, if it were to be rezoned. It would be part of the Town Center Core. And it does not permit accessory structures currently. And I don't know, Vendeline, if you want to touch on this a little bit more, but there's other ways within form-based code that it can happen. Whether expanding building or, changing the code further down the road to even allow that. So I don't know if there's, yeah.
Good clarification, thank you.
Yeah, I think we should talk a little more about the size, what type of building, and so on, to see if there's an opening and if for that type of use in the zone, and to explore that with a little more.
There isn't the way it's stated currently.
Yeah.
Is it too late for him to apply for a permit to build an accessory dwelling under the current zone?
Well, that's in the end, it's a legal question. I mean, but let me answer it in a different way. I mean, this is on the agenda right now, but I don't know that the city is necessarily in a big hurry with this. So, I mean, one could also look at, well, maybe we just leave this property out for right now. I mean, that would also be one way to deal with it. I mean, it's, there are many options I think we have, but I mean, I'm definitely happy to look at this more thoroughly to see, could this be possible to accommodate your current need within the zone? I don't know that right now want to commit to a clear yes or a clear no, because I don't quite know what all you plan to do.
And I think in 5 to 10 years, what's going to happen is going to happen either way. I mean, you can't stop what's going to happen. But while I've got the energy to run my business and still sell a lot of stuff, and people like it, they like coming. So,
would legal prefer to have that parcel taken out, or would they prefer to have it tabled?
Because we don't have long.
Who's they?
The planning city, I guess. Our applicant is Midvale City, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So the city.
Yeah.
I'm curious why the city would plan to not have that little property, that little tiny wedge right there, not be part of it. Seems interesting, but anyway, doesn't matter.
I will say, you do work very close to the staff here, Vendela and Elizabeth, Jonathan.
I met with Jonathan and Wendland, yes.
Yeah, so they're a good resource for these types of what
Oh,
ifs.
yeah.
Yeah, so it might be good to use that resource and maybe get more details together of what you're actually looking to do.
Okay.
To see how they can help out with that. Because the form-based code can be very limiting. We understand that, but it can also do a lot.
It can
for
also
the
do a
city.
lot for higher buildings with less parking.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Right.
All right. Thank you for your time.
One thing I want to commend you for your property. It's it's a cute property.
There's a lot of people that like coming to it.
Yeah, it reminds me of down at Gardner Mill.
Sure,
And it's like, oh, it's kind of moved this
we
way.
We get
So
a
we
consistent
appreciate
flow of
you being a good
mothers that bring their daughters when they're in town or vice versa. A lot of people like to come there and hang out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Oh, yeah. There a motion? There you go.
I'm just
Yep.
a curious guy.
State your name.
My name's Mike Paul. So it really got me thinking when he's like, why is that notched out that way? I mean, it's kind of like the people that were here before. Somehow you end up with this weird, strange shaped properties that don't make any sense. We're actually located just off of Stagg Street, and we've had issues with that because things were never drawn correctly over time and things moved, and technically we own Stagg Street, which we don't want anything to do with. And part of the right side or the east side of the building is city property, and it's clear that the line was just not drawn correctly, but that's neither here nor there. And then with Wendelkin, with his comment of, well, maybe we can just like exclude that, which I would suspect maybe that's why it's drawn that way right now, to slowly work your way into what may or may not ever be inevitable. But so my understanding is that to rezone it would allow the complex that currently is on the west side, if they were so inclined to buy property when it became available, to expand that. Is that kind of what it is, to be able to make it so you can have larger family apartments or whatever? Is that kind of what that allows to happen? Because I have no idea what TCC or any of these other, short-term or shortened deals are. Is that kind of what that would enable and allow, or what does the zone do to rezone?
Yeah, I can explain that real quick. So the downtown area in Midvale here, where we are right now, along Main Street, has a specific zone applied to it. It's called the form-based code. And it basically comes in two versions. The first version is applied to the properties that front onto Main Street. And that version tends to be a little more restrictive. It has a cap on the building height that's lower than in the other version of this form-based code, And the other version is what was already mentioned. It's called the town center core. And the buildings in this town center core can rise higher than the ones that front onto Main Street. And in some other sort of requirements, it's maybe not quite as stringent. So overall, the zoning is geared towards creating a downtown that's that has more people in it, a more intense use, and through the concentration of people, you create more activity on the street level. And you already see that a little bit. Main Street has picked up more tenants than it used to have in the last decade or two. And there are a couple of spaces that are currently being renovated to be restaurants. And so the original, you could say, long-range plan that looked at this is envisioning that same type of arrangement also on the western side of Holden Street. And obviously there are some uses there that are, very much in the industrial realm, I would say. And, the thought on the city's end is, we don't want to kick anyone out or cause angst. So we just drew the line where we thought right now, it's maybe more palatable. For example, if I look at home again, it's a retail use, and a retail use, is allowed in this form-based code. That's actually what we want in order to attract people. So that's that's really everything that's behind all of this. It's not an effort to make anyone's life hard. It's an effort to to slowly improve the downtown.
Gotcha. That's kind of what I was thinking. I just was, clarification's always nice. So
yeah.
I don't think I really have anything else. Just curiosity. Appreciate it though. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You.
Do I get a motion?
Close the public hearing. Kind of curious what the city would like.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Would you prefer it being tabled or take a parcel out? Or
Make a little island of. Because, if you.
Islands in the sun.
a table and come back to it?
Because I think we have a restriction on when we can come back to it. Like, we have to come back within a certain amount of meetings.
But that would give a landowner time to.
Dig a foundation real quick.
But if we table it, could he still apply?
As I said, that's a legal question. But here's, maybe let me add my 2 cents first.
Is it going to be 2 cents or 5?
Not 2. As I said, the city doesn't want to, cause any consternation or anything like that. I think it would be maybe a good exercise for us to get together and look at the code. The more I look at it, I think maybe there's some inconsistency in there that maybe we should look a little deeper into. But I do think, you do have a couple of viable options. I do think it is a viable option to just leave that property out and come back. Because, in the end, without the property owner, there's no change going to happen anyway.
Well, I don't think change is going to happen if we readdress that in a year.
Yeah, so, in that sense, there really nothing is lost. And so if Mr. Church decided to, at some point, maybe sell his business, he could even apply to change the zoning. Yeah.
Because it would comply with what's needed for rezoning.
Yeah. So
see, that's my kind of concern is I'm in favor of rezoning this, but I feel like Mr. Church has been a good citizen of the community, and I don't want to hamper his ability to make a living.
Yes.
And so I would be in favor of taking out his property out of the proposed rezone area.
Didn't we have something similar, like unique?
No, it was manufacturing place that built beds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't
We
you
have
need
the same
body
problem
shop?
because they wouldn't fit back in the area if we.
Yeah.
Right.
We did
We
that.
have the same problem.
You know, the other option is, of course, I mean, if you want to table it, you can do that too. I
I was
mean, no
just
one
more
is.
legal and.
I think also if you're done with public comment, you didn't close it. If you're gonna move on and maybe just discuss, will you close public comment?
Okay, good
I
idea.
move we close public comment.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that.
We're the public too.
All right, legal. What's the recommendation, or what can we do? What would be best, to table it or to remove his property out of the rezone?
From the city attorney's office, tabling it is not what we would prefer because
Okay.
there are timelines that have to be followed. Having said that, you can, I mean, if you want to make a decision, right, make some sort of recommendation, you can make a conditional recommendation such as we approve it as long as this property is cut out, or we recommend that it be approved as long as the property is cut out, or we recommend approval, but we request that staff look at possible changes to the form-based code to allow some of the things that have been discussed tonight. So those are all possible motions that you could make. Ultimately, if, you know, you could also just recommend denial and say, hey, we'd like staff to retool this before it actually
Does that help the
gets
timeline?
approved.
That helps the timeline.
Does that help the timeline if we do it that way?
What do you mean by the timeline?
Well, I mean.
Versus tabling it. They don't
Yeah, versus table.
Well, so if you did that, it's possible that staff could decide to withdraw the application and kind of restart. So, yeah, that's something that could happen. Ultimately, your job tonight is just to make some sort of recommendation, either approval or denial, or approval with conditions.
Can you recommend bringing it back in 60 days?
Is that a possibility?
No.
No?
Okay.
Not technically, no. That's outside the boundaries of, because under the ordinance, you've got 30 days from today to do something with it, to either recommend denial or approval. Otherwise, it's just considered an automatic denial.
See, I'm comfortable with a motion to approve it with the condition that we remove Mr. Church's property from the zone.
I am. I just was wondering if the city was going to kill us.
That's, yeah.
Well, how messy?
So just cut planning commission.
What's
dinner.
the easiest, what's the easiest?
Well, how
for-
messy, one question, how messy is it if we just table that one parcel and then we have the 30 days? So staff could figure out if we want to look at the form-based code or if we want to completely take it out.
Practically speaking, you don't have 30 days.
Right.
Because we only meet twice a month, right? And so it would be 2 weeks, assuming we're having one in 2 weeks.
I'm just wondering if we gave staff a bit more time on that one particular parcel, and then we could decide if we fully take it out or if we work on the code.
I think it's going to go through. We
Yeah.
just need some time to clear up one
Right.
item.
Exactly.
So if
Or-
we deny it, wouldn't that simplify it? And then it can come back in a month and say,
Right.
We
hey,
just have to renotice it and stuff.
yeah.
Well, my thing is if we just approve it with condition that we remove his property, they could always come back with his property added to it. Or rezone his property.
Yeah, what's less messy?
You know?
I think it's less messy to just do the whole lot.
Deny it?
Deny it.
I agree.
Because we're gonna end up with interesting
Lines
property
that-
lines that we
yes.
already know don't jive. So if we do it in one big thing.
Right.
Then we're going to have the problem we have.
What about if you recommended approval with removing his property?
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think that just looks.
That sounds simple, the easiest, because we can always come back on that parcel or more of those parcels to rezone.
Gwendolyn, what do you think?
So there's also the line of thinking, let's say you decided to recommend approval with a question mark behind Mr. Church's parcel. I mean, we still do have some time to work on that, and we can maybe shed a little more light on, you know, how viable, you know, his desired accessory structure might be under the new zone. And by the time it goes to city council, maybe we have that figured out. I mean, that would also be, you know, one way to
So
treat
maybe
it.
approve it with the condition that staff work with that parcel to see what,
what the possibilities
and
are.
either remove it or have answers for the neighbor.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just deny the whole thing, then
Nothing's gonna change between now and
nothing's,
6
yeah,
months.
it's not. And so I think you deny it. Well, I mean, what's the push of approving it? What's that gonna do? Denying the whole thing, then you get to come back to us and say, hey, this is what we've worked out with this in a timely manner instead of,
He decided to do a garage.
I mean,
decided
it's
not
so
to.
weird to have to say, well, we're gonna just not do that property, but we're all gonna approve this. We don't know. I mean,
If you
So-
weren't here, that seems very fishy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
It doesn't seem above board when you present it to city council.
exactly. I say the whole denial, you don't just go, well, you know, because we like his product, we're just gonna remove that. That's what it kind of feels like. Do you see what I'm saying? But that's how it would feel
So,
as somebody that isn't here and aware of anything. That's how it would kind of look.
Well, now, don't forget, when you recommend denial, it goes to city council anyway,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, ultimately, you're not approving or denying it, right? You're recommending approval or denial. And so the city council would make that decision, and
They may not agree.
the time, there is a time limit between when this is brought before you and you have to make your
Right.
recommendation, but there isn't necessarily a time limit between your recommendation and when staff brings it to city council. And so, I mean, there isn't technically, if we pass a certain amount of time, then maybe the city loses some rights and that kind of thing. But outside of that, there could be plenty of time between now when you make your recommendation and when the city council hears it for staff to discuss with the property owner
All they want to do is
potential,
tweak one thing.
yeah, possibilities or whatever. And so really the thing is you just have to decide approve or deny, approve with condition, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
and I think, I mean, you're free to really do whatever you feel is best. I mean, it's, you know, we don't have.
I advise him some time. It's never about.
But you know, I do what I want anyway, so, okay.
Can we get that motion?
Ooh, I'm so glad I don't have to wordsmith it anymore.
So I made you a template that,
Oh.
so depending on what you need,
Can I
what you
sure?
want to do.
I move that we recommend denial of the rezone request to rezone the following parcel from clean industrial CI to Main Street from form-based code. Do I need to go through all of those as well?
The important thing would be the finding.
Consistent with the finding.
Well,
we just
if,
found out you don't need findings for
yeah,
That's
if
just
you're
it.
recommending denial,
That's right.
you're not making any findings.
That's right.
And you don't, I mean, the code doesn't require that in that case. But it
Nice.
makes it easy for everyone who looks at the minutes to understand why something happened. That's why I think it's a good idea. You don't have to.
Continue reading, consistent with the finding.
Consistent with the finding, I don't know where you're talking about. Consistent with the finding,
So, can I help out?
yes, please. I'm at a loss here for
What
just
I
a
think
moment.
you're wanting to say is you want to move to recommend denial of the city's application.
Right,
That's all you gotta say.
No finding.
great.
No findings.
I move that we recommend denial, the rezone request, to the rezone the following parcel. Clean industrial to Main Street. Thank you.
Second?
Roll call?
That was clean.
Yes. Yep, yeah, Dustin did. Chair Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Lidkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kasparian.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yes.
Or the
It
motion
passes for
passes
denial.
to deny.
Deny, yeah.
Thank you. Boy, that was clear.
See what happens when you participate?
Good things come to those.
If you decide you want to do one in a month, you can do one. If not, we'll bring it back and pass it.
That was really hard for me just then. What's next?
So is it kind of like a little free speak right now? Because I'm curious about something that was said. It
No.
doesn't, it's just curiosity. It's not
Yeah.
like, whatever. You want me to come up?
So,
Because I have two more things on the thing.
so this is, it's up to the chair, how you want to direct your meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have a question, you're here. Do we need to?
Mike Paul again. So I think Weldon had said something about how he can, if he were to sell his property 10 years from now, can petition you guys to then change it prior to his sale to whatever we're trying to change it to now. So it's not off the books, and nobody's like wanting to not do that. He's just trying to build something to help his business currently, but he can always change that and probably increase his property value and all the great things that come along with that.
He
That you
can apply to.
Or apply to, right,
yeah.
he could go through this whole thing
Yeah.
again. Okay.
As
Okay,
fun
just
as it
curious.
is, as fun as it is, he wants to go through it again.
This is, I still think this is an important area of Midvale to focus on
I
doing
agree,
this.
100%.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I think we just got,
If we just didn't have that one thing.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's not
okay,
good.
so I want staff to know that. Good job. Good job.
And sorry if whoever has to do the minutes.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that.
We've got 2 more items.
All right, yeah, 2 more things, and we're running kind of late, y'all.
Well, then hurry.
I'm going. Discussion on planning commission bylaws update. And this is Vendelin.
This is so boring. This is so boring.
That's why they put it at the end. Because you like it.
I do like it.
What time did we sign that?
Vandalene, I got your clicker.
Oh, I wanted to say something is missing.
What do you say? Ask me hard questions today.
So all of you remember that we discussed the bylaws and discussed them again and again, and this is at least the 4th time, I believe.
This is the last time.
Hopefully.
That's what I hope. So last time, when we delved into this a little bit, we had, I think there was some consensus on what you wanted to see happen. And so the keywords were, we would like to have a nominations process for the elections of chair and vice chair. We would like to, be clear about who can vote and who can be nominated for chair and vice chair. We also wanted to be more organized about how the whole voting process comes about and works. And then there was also discussion about what about when you have been chosen to be a new chair, when do you actually get to run the meeting? So with all of that in mind, what you have on the screen and what was on your packet, that's the outcome. And so the summary version of what you see there basically is that this proposes that you have a nomination process where anyone, no matter if you are a member or an alternate, can nominate. And it would first be a nomination for the chair. Then that gets sort of locked into place by a motion. Then the chairman will say, these are our nominees for chair. And then you would vote. And the voting would just happen on a piece of paper. You write it down, pass it to the secretary, which, normally it's Aubrey or whoever stands in for her. And then the vote would be read into the record. The reason for that is then it's more orderly, and you don't get the phenomenon where the first person who votes influences what other people after them would vote for or not vote for. That was the idea behind this. So that would be for the chair. Then you do that same process again for vice chair. So you make nominations. Obviously, the person who's been voted to be the chair can't be nominated anymore, but if someone was nominated to be the chair but wasn't chosen, that person can be nominated again. And I forgot to mention that the chair always, of course, confirms with the person who was nominated if they would actually want to do it.
Before the voting.
Before the voting, yeah. Not afterwards. That would get us.
You won,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
do you want it?
Yes.
No, I
No
don't.
one would
Oh,
ever
okay,
do
well, we'll go
I
back.
missed a meeting. Did we not do something fair or right?
No, we just decided to clean it up, to make it.
To make it formal in case there was contention in the
Right.
future, we had a process that
So
we.
you guys didn't want the job.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying, but we have new bylaws. We'll have new bylaws.
This is
We
a
want
lot of
this.
thought into something very simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so this is the proposal. I mean, it's here as a discussion item. If you have any comments about it, we can discuss it now.
Now, can an alternate be chair?
No.
No?
No, and I mean,
couldn't
that's
remember. It's
something,
been a
I
while
mean,
since
I
I've
guess, that's actually in your discretion a little bit.
I think we did discuss it, though.
Yes, yeah,
the
it
pros
was
and cons
discussed.
of it. But they can nominate.
They can nominate,
They
but
can
they can't.
nominate,
Yeah.
but they can't nominate themselves.
Yeah, then,
Correct.
yeah.
I guess, yeah.
They can nominate, they can vote,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't be their chair or vice chair.
Vice chair.
They're
Yeah.
only
Pardon?
down the line.
Yes.
You have
Yeah.
no say.
It's important to get experience before being
Yeah,
shoved in front. Yep.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
So, yeah, if you have any other comments, we can discuss it now, or you can, give me a call or send me an email. But if,
Does everybody like this?
Should we vote on it? Do we need to hand in a piece of paper?
Um,
Can we just say?
We haven't
yeah,
noticed
this
it,
is
right?
yeah, it's not noticed, it's just noticed as a discussion item. But if
Our
you,
audience left, they don't even know.
They don't even care.
but I do accept pieces of paper with a vote about this, so,
Green paper.
Does everybody feel fair about that?
yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
it's
think
fair and
it's
very thorough.
Everything and more.
Yeah. Very thorough.
I'd say
Just in
notice it.
case.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that.
I like the colors.
Thank you.
Red, yellow, and blue.
I've been
It's
there
supposed to
for
be
like
red, yellow, and
3
green.
votings, and
Wait, red?
Oh, sorry.
there's no red up
Green,
there.
yellow,
Yeah,
and
we
blue.
just-
It should be green, yellow, and
Okay, we're running out of time.
Yeah, so otherwise I just wanted to make you aware there are 2 conferences coming up. The Utah Planning Association Conference in Provo, and if 3 of you attended, we get a better prize. Just wanted to make sure you knew that.
Wait, what's the price?
It's $85 for 2 days and includes lunch. So that's a really good price for.
So if we get 3 people to go, you get paid $85 and lunch?
Well, the APA gets paid $85.
Going.
Do you get paid for going?
In lunch.
They have
In lunch
Yeah, you
and
get free
knowledge,
lunch and
yes.
knowledge.
there's swag.
There's plenty of swag.
Yeah.
I wear my hat all the time.
So October 10th and 11th. That should be a Thursday and a Friday.
You know, if you go to one day, if you have to do both, or can you do one?
You can do one day. I hope you still get the better rate. I think you can.
Is that fall break?
I don't know, but
Not in the school, well, yeah, in Granite School District, I believe it is. I don't know about Canyons.
I should know that, sorry, Hannah.
I think it might be.
So, I mean, there's still, there's still time to sign up, so think about it. There's another conference, it's called the Connected Communities Summit. That's more geared towards active transportation and health. Also happens in Provo, and it's actually at the same place at the conference center on Center Street in Provo. And that conference is put on by Bike Utah, UDOT, and I think the health department. So it's also very interesting, but it's not as, it's a more narrowly focused. So.
On the first one, do you sign up for classes that you're interested in, or is it just you show up for the day?
Yeah, you show up for the day, and they have several tracks. So there are alternatives you can choose.
Okay.
They usually have 3 different classes going on at the
3 or
same
4.
time, and you can pick what you want to do, and walking tours and things like
What
that.
are the dates of the second one?
Wanted to say September.
I think 18th and 19th.
Yeah, 18th and 19th.
Of October?
September. So that one is coming up a little earlier.
That's quick.
Yeah. So, and I can send you an email with links to the information, then you can think about it. And
Yeah,
if,
that would be great.
You already?
Pardon me?
Didn't you already? Thought I had that.
I may have, I think I've included it in something quite a while ago, but I can send that again.
Now, did you know that Midvale's been nominated for an APA award?
You mean the award we nominated Midvale for?
Did you?
No, I'm not
okay.
I'm kidding. No, I haven't seen or heard that. So.
Yes. I'm on the
Adam?
nomination committee, so.
Oh, so you nominated us.
On the voting committee, so I noticed there was one for Midvale for Main Street, and so it was, so. So I was kind of excited to see that someone had put that on there. I think it was our consultant.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It was the consultant who put it on there, but he has really good biography.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else? Because I have one thing that I
Sure,
needed
please.
to add. Just because we haven't had a meeting since she passed, but I wanted to express Colleen Costello's passing. She was very, very helpful when I was first here as a little baby, and she helped me quite a bit. So she's done a lot for the city, and I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, great woman.
Yeah, lovely. That's all I had. I
Vandeline.
move.
We have one more thing.
We have one more?
The dinner.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
So the planning commission dinner isn't canceled after this meeting. So,
The fun's just strong.
We dare you to show up.
So, it's for you. Last year, I think we did it in September. On the calendar, the week after Labor Day, the Thursday, I think it's the 5th, would be one option that at least works for most of us as staff. I don't know about your schedules. I mean, we can always see what all the options are.
Fifth is fine for me.
Yeah. I'm good.
Okay. Matt, are you good on the 5th? Do you know yet?
Yeah, it's hard to plan that far out.
Sure, okay, I understand.
Right now, yes.
Okay, good.
We just agreed.
Yeah.
Mike?
I'll make
Yeah.
it happen.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah.
Shane, do you know yet? That works for you?
Yep, that
Yeah,
works for me.
okay. Perfect. Then, Candy Tippett obviously isn't here. I'll talk with her and see if that would work for her, and if she wants to host it again. If not, we can, do it in a pavilion at one of our
We'd be happy
parks.
to host it in
Or
our
yeah.
backyards, so
Okay.
that's always available.
I'll
All
do
right.
it in my backyard, but you'd have to have my gate code and I can't let you people in.
Too confidential.
Sorry. Next time.
You'd get in trouble by the HOA, too many people, not enough parking.
That's right.
Okay, good, 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 good.
Thank you.
I'm going to be adjourned this meeting.
At 8:15?
Yeah.
Adjourned.
All right.
Person who's doing the-
Yeah, really.